is the precision edge strategy all about? So, for those that don't know, I've been trading since about 2019. I've been successful for quite some time. Um, but one of the things that I have been, if you will, in the search for is a system that is very straightforward, no ambiguity behind it, and really gives you an edge in the market, right? For those that have been trading, in order for you to be successful, you have to have an edge in the market, right? If your strategy does not have a good enough win rate, does not have a good enough high risk to reward, you will not be profitable, right? And obviously, there's some other things in between there, like psychology and all those type of things. But what I love about this system, the strategy, is that it is very straightforward in a sense of you know exactly when you should be entering and you know exactly when you should be exiting, right? And so and what it does is it provides very high reward trades, right? Very accurate trades. Now, I want to be very, very upfront about this strategy. This strategy is not a high win rate strategy. So I mean, honestly, if you feel like you're not an individual that can take a few losses in a row, right, without getting discouraged, without being staying the course, without hunting for trades and stuff, et cetera, then this may not be the system for you. But if you can withstand those few losses that you're going to take, and it's not all the time, but they are going to occur, then this is going to be a great strategy for you. Okay. And so let's get into it. So these are the types of setups that you're going to really very consistently be able to experience from this strategy. You can see, right? Many of you have seen charts like this, right? Where you have the tool here showing you kind of your risk reward, and you can see those stop losses are very small in comparison to the profit potential in these trades. And these are not, how should I say this? These are not, the profit is not there to just show you how far the trade can go. These are actual exit points that you will be learning and be given when it comes to these strategies. It's not like, oh, well, it could have gone this far, or, if you would have held on this long or whatever. No, these are actual exit points, right? Depending on price action, where you would actually exit these trades. Okay. So, let's get into it. I'm going to pull up my chart. And the way this strategy works is you start off on the 1 hour. Now, you can go to the 4 hour if you want to be able to determine your general direction. But the way I pretty much go about this is if I don't know exactly which the way the market is going based on seeing what I'm looking at, right? If it's a little confusing, the market's kind of fluctuating or whatever, right? Then maybe I don't trade that pair. But if it's clearly going up or clearly going down, right? Bearish, bullish, all those things, right? Then I'm going to start looking for trade opportunities. How many of you have had some training or education when it comes to smart money trading, smart money concepts? Donald asks, will this strategy work with Renko? You could potentially use it on the higher time frame for your trend, but your entries are not going to be based off of Renkos. It's going to be all off of candlesticks. Okay, so many of you have had some experience with smart money trading. Smart money is basically pure price action trading, right? And that's what this is going to be. It's not going to be any indicators in this. Um, it's all basically looking at what the market is doing on the chart and using that to your advantage. Okay. So let's talk about and we're not going to go in super in depth with smart money. This is somewhat of a basic strategy when it comes to using smart money, depending on how you want to look at it. So so what we're going to do is basically find our entry zones, also known as order blocks, right? So these are how we're going to find our entry zone. So I am going to do a replay here, and I'm going to just replay to about here. Let's see. Replay. Okay. So we're gonna consider this a bearish market right now. Will this work? And this is yes. We're gonna consider this a bearish market at the moment. Okay. So we're gonna go candlestick by candlestick, and I'm gonna show you what we're looking for. All right. So we have our first bullish candlestick. Okay, when we're going for sales, let me put it in the text here. If we're going for sales, we're selling, we're looking for buy candles. Okay, and then vice versa for buying, right? Okay, so we have our first one. Now, in order for us to mark this how should I say, a entry zone or order block, whichever one you call it. I'm just going to call it entry zone because that's what it's going to be relative to what we're doing. What we need is for this low to be broken and closed on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, so I'm going to have my little horizontal ray here, right? We need price to close below this low right here, right? And close, right? Okay. So going to the next candlestick. We now have another bullish candlestick. So therefore, this will no longer be our entry zone. Okay. This will no longer be our entry zone. But we still need, in order for this to be our new entry zone, we need for price to close below this low here, right? And we're going to keep doing this, right, until that happens, right? We get another bullish candlestick. This is now no longer our entry zone. This will be our entry zone, okay? So now we have a bearish candlestick. So right now we can mark this potentially, again, hasn't been verified yet, but this can potentially be our entry zone if price closes below here, because this is our last bullish candlestick, right, during this move, okay? Everybody following? If you're not following, let me know. And boom, we get a close on our candle, on the candle here. So this is currently our entry zone. So I'm gonna move this over because I'll keep it there just so you guys understand where it's coming from. Okay. So now what we're going to do is drop down to the 1 minute time frame. Okay. Um, this may take a while. So really what we want to do is when price reaches back into this zone, then we'll go into our 1 minute time frame. Because this may take a while. We don't know what price is going to do. This is on the hour time frame. So I'm not going to go to the 1 minute right now because it may take a long time for it to reach here. I don't know. So we're going to go candle by candle. And when price reaches our entry zone, right? We're going to name this entry zone. Okay. Then we are going to drop into the 1 minute time frame. And it may not reach it, right? Keep that in mind, right? Not every entry zone is going to be reached necessarily, okay? So keep that in mind. But that doesn't mean you just stop there. You're going to you're going to continue to make more entry zones if price keeps going down, okay? So right now, this could potentially be an entry zone, or this can be potentially be an entry zone, whichever one you would like. I usually choose if okay, so for example, so see how if we were to mark this whole entry zone here, this one, this whole one is inside it. Okay. So I'm really going to ignore this one and just only really pay attention to this one. Okay. If you wanted to be more accurate or wanted to be more precise, or how should I say, not have that large of an entry zone, then you could use this one. But I'm going to use the whole one. Okay. Because honestly, I don't want to miss out on any opportunities. Now, keep in mind, with my sort of mentality and not missing out, I could potentially take more losses because this is relatively a large entry zone. Okay. So I'm just going to delete this one. Again, this one is not going to be valid until when? Who can tell me? When is this one going to be valid? Somebody tell me in the chat. When will this one actually be valid? It's not valid yet. When that wick is broken, right? The lowest one, exactly. When this wick, right, is broken and the 1 hour closes on this below this wick here, right? This low here, that's when this one will be valid. Okay. But I'm gonna keep it there so we can pay attention to, the ones that could potentially point out, right? It did not close. This is not a valid entry zone. Now, here's, how should I say? One thing that you could have done, okay? I want you guys, this is a little bit different than how most people use, or if you will, mark entry zones or order blocks or whatever, right? But this is relevant to the strategy, okay? See this, we had our bullish candlestick, our entry zone here, and then we had a bearish candlestick. That means now these could have been this could have been entry zone, and these could have been entry zone, but really would be this one, right? Because this is the last bullish candlestick. And these three candlesticks, right, are creating the new low zone that we need to be broken. Okay? If you're not following me, let me go back. Let me go back so you guys understand what I'm saying. Right? Let's ignore all of this. Let's just say these were the only three candlesticks that were on the chart. Now we have our bearish candlestick, and then we have two bullish ones. Right? When we get our next bearish candlestick, this is an entry zone, potentially, but not until this low is broken. Not this low, or this one. It's going to be this one because it's the lowest one, right? Now, we're going to keep doing that until, how should I say? We're going to keep doing that with all of the wicks, right? So now this is our low, okay? But now that low has been broken, okay? So now this could be an entry zone. Now, I didn't create this one at this time because I wanted this low to be broken. But if you wanted this to be an entry zone, if you wanted to potentially take this entry zone and make it a valid one, if you will, or use it, then you could. So we'll use it as an example just so you guys can see, because I want to find some entries for you guys so you can see how the strategy works when it comes to actually getting into a trade. So now we have this entry zone, and let me go back because we actually did enter into this candle actually entered into our entry zone, right? And again, this one did too, actually, right? So this is the point in which we're starting to look for that 1 minute entries, and these parts did go inside, right? And so we're going to go back and see if there were any entries. There probably weren't, but we're going to look and see if there were. It may have been some losses. So I'm going to show you guys, right, that losses will happen with this strategy. Okay, so I'm going to go fast forward. Okay, that happened really fast. Okay, this touched our entry zone. It doesn't have to go any percent into the entry zone. It doesn't have to go anything. If it touches the entry zone, it's relevant. Okay, so this touched our entry zone. At this point, we're going to do something very similar on the 1 minute time frame that we've been doing on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, this will be our actual trade zone, but it won't be until, and I should go back a little bit. It went really fast, so right, it won't be until this low is broken and closed, right? Closed, broken below, right? So I could create this with pretty much the same point, right? Sometimes it could be a different candlestick. It's not often it's the same candlestick, but in this case it is. Okay. So when it closes below, it is now a valid entry zone. Okay. So now, or sorry, trade zone. So now if price comes up and hits that trade zone, this is where you would set a pending order. Okay. Now you could manually enter it, but you may miss it, right? And you may not get the right risk to reward, all those type of things. So I would recommend setting pending orders, right? In this case, it would be a sell limit. Okay, so you would set your entry at 190710, right? And then you would set your stop loss, right, at the top here. Okay, so I'm just put a horizontal line here so you guys understand what I'm saying. So this will be your stop loss. I'm gonna make it red, so that's clearly understood. And then this would be your entry, and I'll make it green. So that's clearly understood, okay? All right, we are in this trade now, okay? Now, if, let's see what our potential target point could be based on this trade. Again, I'm pretty sure it's gonna lose, but we're gonna look and see. Our target point in this case would be our right here at this low. And the way that I'm confirming that is you can go to the 1 hour time frame and look at your most recent low. That's going to be really skinny. I gotta go back and widen it out. Let me widen this out. I'm widening it out because in the 1 hour time frame you can't see it. Okay. All right. So this will be our sort of target point, but to be honest, I don't like with this strategy, I don't really like taking trades that my target point is going to be really less than 7 to 8 to 1. Okay. Right now it's at 4.29. So I may not even take this, but we're gonna let it play out. Let's say you did take it, right? We're gonna let it play out and we're gonna move forward. Okay. Is there any questions so far? You guys can ask questions. I'm periodically looking at the chart. I mean not the chart, but the chat. All right. We lost that trade. Okay. We're only entering one trade at a time. What's up, Curve? All right, we're only entering one trade at a time. So none of the other stuff that was happening potentially, right, that you could have potentially gotten into matters, right? But now we are no longer in this trade. We've lost the trade. We lost 1%. That's what I would recommend you guys. You could even do less than 1% if you wanted to. You can do that with this strategy due to the high risk to reward. And so we're going to mark this as a loss. Here it is. Right, this is how I mark my losses, right? I just put a little red arrow for sell here, right? And this is how I back test when I'm going through it or whatever. So I just put that so I can understand what my potential risk to rewards, I mean, not my win rate would be, Okay. All right. So we didn't get out of the trade until, let me put a line here. Actually, let me just move this over. Right. So this candle got us out of the trade. Okay. So now pretty much anything after that, we're looking for a new entry. How do you know when it's a loss? When it goes above your set mark. Yes. So our stop loss was here at the top of this red area here. Our stop loss would have been here. When price hits above it, right? Then that would have been a loss. Okay. Okay. We're gonna keep doing this, right? You don't sell on time or what? What do you further clarify your question? Not sure what you're asking. Okay, so we're gonna keep doing this. So this is our new potential trade zone. I shouldn't say potential now because it's actually valid. And this was the low that we were needing it to break. Okay. Oh, wrong one. I want to do a array. So you went about your loss mark by the hour, correct? Chris, I'm gonna allow you to unmute so you can where are you? Where are you? There you are. Yeah, actually see if you can, if you can ask your question. Maybe we can talk it out and I can answer your question.
Yo, you hear me?
Yep. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh, you muted yourself. Go back.
My fault. Hey, yeah, I was confused because I was watching you set your start point and y'all watch you set your entry level. So I see you hit the bottom of your chart, but when you set your loss, your out mark, like how did you know it was a loss in your trade? Like when you set your mark, how did you get to that point where the chart actually went above your line and you knew it was a loss?
So yeah, so our entry was at the low of this candlestick, right?
Right.
And this our stop loss is going to be set at the high of this candlestick,
Correct.
right? So it was at this point right here on this candlestick, if you can see, it's a little hard to see, but on this candlestick, it hit our entry right here. So we're in the trade now. Okay.
Right.
So any candle after that that goes above our stop loss, which is here, is going to in turn create a loss. Does that
So,
make sense?
but in between that, you can sell in between that before you get to your loss mark.
We're already in a sell
Okay, okay, okay. So how long does the sale last? I'm sorry. Like how long does the
until it
sale
hits our
last?
target, which was here. So our target was down here. It didn't reach our
Right.
target before it hit our stop loss.
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. All right. So we're back here. Same scenario, just different page of the book, if you will. Right? Have you want to say that? Okay. So now we are waiting for it to hit our entry zone. Okay. Let me go ahead and make this further. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and do it fast. Yes. All right. It hit our entry zone. Okay. We're in this trade. Same scenario. Stop loss is going to be at the top of this. So in this case, let's see actually. So in this case, whenever our trade zone, if you will, is the highest point of our of the move, if you will, right? Like not here, but like it's at the highest point, right? For sell, I would recommend using that next candlestick if it presents a higher wick, right? So in this case, a stop loss would have been here, but I would recommend putting it here. Sometimes that wick can be a little bit higher than that, and it's actually like relevant. So in this case, it's not much of a difference, but that's where I will put my stop loss. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, I want you guys to be in the mindset that yes, when you create your pending, you do put in your stop loss. Yes. All right. So we're gonna see how this plays out. Well, I should have said what our target should have been, right? Our target would have been this low here. Sorry, should have said that before. I'll let it continue. But on the 1 hour, right? Before we got put into the trade here, this would have been our target. Okay. That's a nice 9-to-1 trade right there. Right. So we took one loss, got a 9-to-1 trade, we're up 8%. Right. Okay. We're gonna keep going through this. Any questions on any of this? So this trade is closed, so we're just gonna put that there. And we're going to look for more entry zones on the 1 hour time frame. How many pips? The stop loss was that? That was a 5.9 pip stop loss. Right now, there are two ways to exit in this strategy. It really kind of depends on what I would consider like, because honestly, I would have held this trade longer. And the reason why is because the potential with um this strategy, right? It may have ended up with a loss holding it longer. We'll find out, but I'll show you what I mean. So what I would look for if I was holding this trade longer and I was watching it, right? What I would look for is for a high to be broken on the 1 hour time frame. Okay. And I'll show you what highs are if it presents itself in this example. If it doesn't, I'll give you more examples. So this one actually probably, yep, that would have been a loss if I held that one. Okay. But that's fine. And I'll show you why it's fine real soon. Okay. Actually, I should have went back. Let me go back. Okay. Well, let's see. So you basically trade structure on the 1 hour. Yes. All right, let me go down to the 1 minute. Let's fast forward. So if you held to the target, now what would you could potentially do, right, when you reach your target, right, is take partials, right? Close 50%, close, quarter percent, whatever, right? Just to lock in some profit. And then hold it, right, for that longer trade that you'll see that I'll show another example here shortly. Okay. All right, so it hits our stop loss there. Our entry zone is still valid though, right? Our entry zone will not be invalid until we get two candlesticks closing on the 1 minute time frame on the opposite end of the entry zone. Okay. So if price comes up here and closes twice, right? It doesn't just wick, right? It just closes twice, then it's now invalid. We're no longer going to worry about the entry zone. We can delete it, move about the chart, look for the next one, right? So until that happens, this is still a valid entry zone. We can still look for entries here. Okay. So if you took partials on this particular setup, right, you would have closed with 4.5% minus the 1, so you're up 3.5%. I almost couldn't do math there. Okay. So we have a potential entry zone here. It's not valid yet because we need it to break this low here, right? Let me remove all these other lines here so it's not confusing. Okay. We also have another one here, right? But we needed to break this low right now. Okay. And close. It has done that. Now, both of these are valid. Now, you can choose to handle this type of situation whichever way you want. You can only have one of them. You can have both of them. The way I do it is I put both of them, but I stack them. What do I mean? I'm not going to now put my entry zone for this order block or this trade zone, whatever you want to call it, inside of this one because potentially it would enter in me both of the trades at the same time. I don't necessarily like that. I only want to be in one trade on a pair at one time. So what I would then do is if I wanted to have both of these, I would simply change my entry to above this one, right? So if I get into this trade and it loses, it'll pretty much immediately get me into this trade. And the reason why I like that is because let's say this was my entry and this was my target point. That's an 11-to-1 setup. But if I moved it and it enters and it doesn't, and I end up winning this trade and I move my entry to here, I just created a 19, almost 20-to-1. So I just added 9% to this potential trade by sort of stacking it rather than just like having it any inside of each other, if that makes sense. Is that confusing? Does that make sense? Glenn says take the premium one. I'm not mad at it, but the way I look at it is you can still take the lower one, right? I would, at least personally. That's how I go about it. Because not all the time is going to reach into that zone. So, and I don't want to miss any moves. I know I'm gonna miss some, right? And that's the reality with this strategy, right? You're gonna miss some pretty good moves here and there, right? But I want to make sure I can get as many as I could potentially can while still taking good setups. Okay. All right. So we're gonna see we're in that trade now. So I'm gonna create the thing until it goes into profit, right? Okay, it's gone into profit. So we'll uh again, it still may not play out, but we'll mark it anyway, right? Because we just want to see again our target is going to be the low on that 1 hour, right? So our 1 hour low is here. Okay. All right. Okay. Took us out of one. Let's see if it took us out of the other. So we're at We're going to mark that loss. I'm going to say it took us out, right? I want to be as honest and however you want to say with how you can expect the strategy to go. Okay. Maybe it didn't do the spread or whatever, but you're a broker or whatever, but still, we're going to just say those were two losses. Okay. All right. Still moving on. Right. And I know this is getting repetitive, but I'm going to get into some buys soon, but I want you guys just to see how this can play out when trading the strategy. Okay, just so you guys understand, this is a valid entry zone. It is yes, transparent, exactly. Um, it is a valid entry zone because this was the low that we were needing to be broken here, right? Now, it is slightly outside of our uh sorry, this is a trade zone. It's slightly outside of our entry zone, right? The way I handle this type of situation is if it's the first entry that was outside of our entry zone, I will take it. If it's beyond that, I won't take it. Does that make sense? So, for example, this one I will not take because it's the second one outside of our entry zone. It's the second potential entry, right? Like say, like if this was still into our entry zone, this could have been an entry, but because it's the second entry below our entry zone, I'm not taking it. Hopefully that makes sense. If that doesn't make sense, I can explain it hopefully potentially in a different way. All right. All right, so now we would be in this trade. Just gonna see how it plays out. Our trade our target point would be down here. All right, and you can see it hit our target point. So that would have been a win there. Let's mark it. Stop loss there. TP there. So we've got a 6.5-ish risk to reward there. So we got one loss, a win, two losses, and a win, totaling up to about what is that 14 15, 13% ish probably if you're risking 1% per trade. Okay, now I'm gonna see if this plays out the other exit that I was talking about on the 1 hour time frame. If it does, then cool. If it doesn't, it will. I mean, we'll get an example here eventually. All right, so we're gonna okay. So it looks like this one actually play out. So what I'm looking for is for a high to be broken. Currently, this is my high, right? Hopefully, it doesn't break that one. Okay. This is now my high. I needed to no, well, this is now a new high. I needed to close above the high. So this was a high. It wicked above it. So this is my new high. I needed the 1 hours to close above it. Okay. This is my new high. I needed to close above it. Okay. New high, new high. I needed to close above it. All right. It closed above it. This would have been our potential exit. Nice and 11-1 on that one if you would have held it. Okay. If is this making sense? Right. I'm gonna see if I can pull up some buys on another on like a bullish setup or whatever. But is this making sense? Any questions on this? I'm looking at the chat. Yes, definitely erasing all the other losses. And to be honest, this 11-1 is freaking chump change in comparison to a lot of opportunities that you can get into. Yes, but you got to be patient. Yes, you do have to be patient. That is a very, very key thing that you just said. With this strategy, you have to be patient. You cannot force entries or get um discouraged by a few losses. Like there's setups in here where you would have taken 6, 7 losses in a row, right? But then on that eighth trade, I got in a couple examples a 30-1, and another example where I took like 6 losses in a row, a 40-1. So like you have to understand the losses will happen, but if you stay consistent, you stay diligent, pay attention to what you're doing, look for new opportunities. As long as that injury zone has not been invalidated, I should say, still take those trades because when it drops, oftentimes it freaking falls, and then when it flies, oftentimes it takes off, right? And if you didn't take it because you're like, oh, I missed I lost 4 in a row, I don't want to take 5, then you miss out on a 40-1 trade. You're going to be kicking yourself in the butt. Um, Donald, there's not been any asset that I have traded or back tested with this system that has not been successful. So I'll actually allow you guys to choose what we look at next. What's your go-to? Yeah, I think I just kind of answered that question. So you're looking for break a structure and pullback. Are you also looking for a failure to break a structure to see if it goes the other way? Are you asking that in the sense of knowing what my bias is, like if I'm buying or selling? Most successful are the ones. So what I look for is for like if I'm looking to figure out which direction I'm going in, I look for one of two things. Okay. So see how where we DJ was bullish, let's say for this period, right? The thing that I look for is if one of the two things is happening, then I'll start looking for sales. So the two things that I would have been looking for, or one of the two things, is for this low to be broken and this low to be broken. Once those two have been broken and closed, then I would be comfortable taking sells at this point, right? Because it was bullish for this point, looking for buys, right? At this point, I would be looking for at this like when this candlestick closed, now I'm comfortable looking for sells. The other thing that I'm looking for potentially is uh when you get two lows, two lower lows for sell and two higher highs for sell, right? And at least one of them has broken one of the previous lows. So okay, so let's say basically what I'm looking for is this. So this created a lower high, right? Right, and then it created another lower high, and then it broke this low. I don't need it to necessarily break this low. Sometimes it would do both. Sometimes it would only do one. Okay, so I don't know if I need to write that down. It's kind of hard to remember all that. But is that making sense? Like I'll repeat it if I need to repeat it. Christina, to be honest, the sessions don't really matter too much. Um, it matters if price is in your zones. And so the way that you would trade this is you would create your zones, right? And then you would set alerts, right? And if you're not trading at that time, that's fine. That's why I would recommend setting multiple different, you know, for multiple different assets, right? It may not make sense to trade only one asset. I know some of you love US 30, some of you love gold. There may be an opportunities when you're trading it. There may not be opportunities when you're trading for those two particular assets. So I would recommend, spreading it out a little bit, right? Looking at multiple different assets, setting up your zones, and then set alerts, right? You can go on TradingView. And so, for example, if you had this zone here, right? um, I would just set a line. That's how I normally do it. I would put a line, right? No, sorry. Create a line. Where's my alerts thing? Is it not am I tripping? Where is there it is. All right. Oh, that's right. I'm in replay mode. I can't do alerts to replay. I was like, why is it not creating my um alerts? But no, like okay, so I don't necessarily. I'll go to a different pair. I think it'll stay in replay mode. So like if I was because I think you can do it off of this too. Maybe you can't. I always do it off a line. So I'm trying to see if you can not create the line or not. Maybe not. All right. So I would just create my right. Let's just say this is my new entry zone for a buy. Right. I would create my line here. I'm still in replay mode. All right, I'd have to get out. I'll show you guys later if you don't know how to set alerts. Because I don't want to get out of replay mode. I'm like, why won't it freaking show my alert options? um, Gotcha. I was gonna ask if you set alerts. Yes. So we need the 1 hour to be trending. Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, I mean, and again, if you're not confident in which direction it's going in, look for a different asset. Look for a different pair, another metal, whatever you're trading. Like you don't have to trade every single thing. I would just say, because you can still find opportunities elsewhere. Go to the left a little more. This way, YouTube can teach you alerts. Okay, what about this? Either close below the last two higher lows, or did two lower lows, lower highs. Sorry, if it is bearish. Yes. So would you be looking for buys, but there it didn't close above. So would you be looking for buys? But there it didn't close above. Yeah, so I would be looking for buys. Yeah, and probably you wouldn't have gotten some win here if you were trading all the way up here. We can actually, I mean, we can look at it. So let's this is actually a pretty good zone right here. So I'm gonna start down here because this is probably a pretty good setup to be honest. I'm not gonna go into replay mode. I'm just going to I'm still in replay mode, but I'm not gonna rewind or anything. I'm just gonna show you guys some potential setup. So in this example, right, this would have been our buy zone, right? Buy entry zone. We just put buy entry zone, okay? And it wouldn't have been valid until that high was broken and closed. It closed there, right? And so now we're looking for that area, right? I'm gonna show you all of them actually. I'm gonna create and that's gonna be doing a lot. We're just gonna focus on this one for now. Okay. So we're looking for now we can go down to 1 minute, find this zone. Okay. All right. So we're still gonna pay attention to this because it did obviously we know these would have been losses. Well, depends on where your exits are. Um, but you obviously see that it went further down, but we're just going to still look at them, right? So I want you guys to understand how the strategy works. So this is our potential trade zone, right? And we need price to break above here in order for it to be valid. It doesn't break above here break above here until this candlestick. So this would have gotten us into the trade, okay? And then immediately got us out of it. Okay. Does that make sense? You guys tracking? I'm not doing a replay because I don't want to I want to kind of go through this quickly so you guys can see some more examples. If you need me to do replay because it's confusing, let me know. Okay, so second entry zone, need this high to be broken. It's broken immediately, pretty much. So now price comes, hits it. We're in a trade. Long position. We're going to go to our most recent high, which would have been here. Okay, nice, almost 9-1 on that setup. Let's potentially look and see what would have happened if we waited for the whole 1 hour thing. Where are we? Okay, so we're still in this trade. Yeah, if we waited for, obviously, if we would have waited for the whole hour, to break the most recent low, then we've got out of that trade. Okay, so just take a mental note of that. Okay, so then let's go back and look at this area. Okay. All right, so there might be a few trades in here, so we're gonna see when we're all right. Okay, so this would have been our entry zone, but it's not valid until it closes above here, which really never happens. So it's never valid. Okay. Right. And you can keep doing this, right? Like, so I'm going to have to go ahead and do replay. So you guys can make sense of this. Okay. So this is like I said, this was our potential entry zone, trade zone, whatever you can call it. But it wouldn't have been valid until this high was broken and closed above, right? That never happened. Okay. Uh, Safe says, Chris, thanks for this session, but I think it's not for me, the newbies. Yeah, if you're brand new to trading, I don't know what your experience is. Um, Reach out in the Facebook group. We'll get you some more education. Um, and if you want to trade this strategy, right, we can go through it. This is not gonna be the only time I'm showing this, right? Throughout the weeks, I'm gonna be showing some trade examples. I'll show some clips and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. Just stick with it, but you'll be fine. Yes, I agree. If again, like, okay, let me say this too. Uh, Especially if you're new to trading, um, and a lot of people are going to be able to test to this. When you're new, things are going to sound like a foreign language to you. Things aren't going to make sense right away. You're going to be heavily confused. But part of the process is one, continuously asking questions. Two, taking what you're learning, applying it to your own charts, and then getting feedback from those charts, right? So what you would essentially do is say, okay, let me focus on finding my entry zones, right? Because that's what I need to understand first, entry zones. You would go to your chart, mark up all the entry zones that you could find. Then you would take a picture of that chart, send it to the group. And I or any others can critique it, let you know that no, this one isn't good, and why not. Okay. So that's how this whole community is going to go, right? This is going to be a learning experience for a lot of people. We're going to help each other out. Really want, and I'll be there for you guys to help you, nail down the strategy. Okay. So, um, okay. Next entry zone could have been here, right? But that's obviously a loss. Okay. Moving forward, the next one could be here. We needed to break above here and close above here in order to make this one valid. Where's my here we go. My favorites here. So I can do this quickly as I can at least. All right. We would have been in that. No, we're still not in that trade. We're still waiting for it to close above here. So sorry, moving on. Moving on. We're still waiting for it to close. All right, did not close. So we are now moving on to new potential setups. Okay. So this can be our new zone. Now, in this example, this is another one of those examples that I talked about, where in this case, I would make this my stop loss just to be safe. Like, it's not going to make that big of a difference, um, you know, and you'll likely end up not getting wicked out or whatever, right? And so in this case, instead of this being my stop loss, I just go ahead and move it down a little bit because that's where the new low is. So you're marking up the last down before up. Yes. Essentially, yes. Because we're looking for buys. So we're looking for sell candlesticks. Okay. Um, okay, but we need this to be our you need this to break, right? We need this high to break. So this probably isn't going to be one, right? But now we need this to break in order for this one to be one. Okay. Now it can be an entry zone. And this one can be an entry zone. But in this case, I wouldn't mark both of them. I would do what I talked about before. I would stack them. I mean, sorry, I would do both of them, but I wouldn't just put them inside of each other. Okay. So in this example, this would be a trade, and then this would be a trade. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I think bro dipped, but we'll get him in the what you call it, in the group. Okay, so now we're in this trade, right? Based off of this block here, we'll see what plays out. Did it wicket? Let me get rid of this other one because it's hard to see. Okay, it did wick this one, right? It hit. Oh wait, sorry, no, it didn't. All right, stop loss should have been at the low of this candlestick, right? That's where our stop loss should have been. So we're still in that trade. We're not in this one. This one still would have been here. Okay, so we're still in this one based off of that trade. Now, now we're out of it, and we're in this one. Okay. We're in this low one. Y'all following? If you're not following, please let me know. I don't want to just run off and you guys aren't following me. Okay. So now let's see if this one plays out. If it plays out, it's going to be a really nice trade. It did not. Okay. Same situation. So let me mark these losses because I want you guys to see what is going on here. So we got this loss here. We've got this loss here. All right. None of those we didn't lose until this point. So now this can be potentially our trade zone, but we need this high to be this high to be broken. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. Okay, we're in a trade already. You guys caught on. That was our last one. We needed that high to be broken. Right, this can be one too. So I'm gonna mark it just so you guys, but it's probably not gonna be because we need that high up there to be broken. Okay, we're in this trade. Maybe a loss. We'll see. It is. Right, and that's what I mean by this strategy. You're gonna take losses. Okay. We're pretty much in almost the exact same setup now. You guys following? We're gonna do a Q&A here in a bit. We're coming up on an hour. You guys need more examples? I can show those. Okay. So this closed above this high, right here from this high, right? Obviously close here. It enters into the trade. Moving forward, see what happens. Looks like when that one goes well. So we're in this trade. And our target point will be, dang it, I keep forgetting to expand it. Can't see that on the 1 hour time frame. All right. Get a little bit wider because our target is this high. That'll be a 36-1 if it hits our target point. And it does. All right. That should pretty much wrap it up, really, for you guys to understand what this strategy is all about, and why you keep taking these trades. We had Did we take this one? I think we did. So that was a loss. Or did we? I don't know if we did. We're gonna mark it a loss regardless. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 losses. And on the sixth trade, you made a 36-1, giving you 30% profit. So all together. Now you could have potentially held this. I'll show you what would have happened if you held it to that one point that I was talking about where you're looking for it to break the low. All right, broke our low there, right? Because this was our low here. So could have potentially held that to there, right? That's a 50-1 trade there. So any questions? I'm gonna allow you guys to unmute. Try not to all unmute at the same time if you have questions, or you can just drop your questions in the chat. After a big trade like that, is it smart to just wait? What do you mean to just wait? You can unmute. Yes, I'm gonna have more sessions. So I'm actually I'm gonna do a quick poll or a quick question here out here in a sec to see what you guys would prefer. It's bound to drop dramatically. Chris, go ahead
Like
and unmute and ask your question.
you
Yeah.
had a 50-1 profit trade. When you hit something like that and try to start a new trade, and I've been watching your charts, majority of the time it drops kind of dramatically from what I've been paying attention. It's just smart to kind of wait for a good drop and kind of let the chart even out before you get back into another trade.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not entering. Okay, so let me clarify what you're asking. Are you asking once you've exited once you've closed one trade that you've got into profit, are you then going to wait to find another trade in the same direction?
Yes, but I've been paying attention from your examples today that the chart's kind of been equalized until you got to this big profit margin. But when you get to a big profit 50-1 like you did, would it be better? Could it started dropping, or would you just instantly just like go into another trade and
I
just
would, and until my bias changes, right? So what I would then be waiting for now is either this low to be broken and this low to be broken before I start looking for sells,
okay, exactly. Okay. That's what
right?
I wanted to know. Gotcha.
Right. And or if I get two higher lows and this low is broken, right? So if I get
Right.
this, where's my drawing tool? I don't use it often, but I know it's in here. Here we go. Okay. So if it does like this, right? And like this again, and then closes here, right? So that's two lower highs, right? Now I'm considering looking for bearish opportunities. And then there's probably an order block up here, comes up here, right? I look for a trade there and then on the way down. That's basically what I'm looking for at that point.
Facts. Okay, I got you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Um, but even if you didn't take that weight, right? You just set your TP and let it ride. I mean, that's 30%. All right. So for those that know smart money, you can use this with fair value gaps as well, right? If you know what that is, cool. If you don't need to know right now. You can learn it later. I want you guys to focus on what you've learned or what we've done at this point. I don't want to add anything at this point because there are definitely some fair value gap setups just like this. I normally wait for it to hit the 50% of the fair value gap before I start looking for trade zones for those that know what I'm talking about. If you don't worry about it. But to answer your question, Glenn, I'm not going to do that at this moment. But you can definitely use this with fair value gaps. Because I don't want to confuse people. I don't want to add anything new to yeah. um any questions? I know there's gotta be some. I mean, I know the strategy is pretty straightforward. Um, like it's very like if this happens, then enter. This happens, then enter. And then there's your target point. You already know where your target point is. right? And if you want to just let it ride, you know how to let it ride, when to exit. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot one thing. One thing you can do is, and I can see if I can find some examples. I know there's some on this chart probably. If you see a pullback happening, let's say we're buying right now, right? We're still looking for buys, and you see a pullback happening, but you don't see any trade zones available, you can drop down to the 30-minute. I wouldn't use your 30-minute as your main zone finder, if you will. But if you see a pullback happening and you drop down to the 30-minute and you see a zone, it works the exact same, right? So you can drop down to 30-minute, right? Like potentially this could be a zone right now, right? I wouldn't use the 30 because there's going to be a lot of zones. You're going to take a lot more losses that are unnecessary. But you can do it when you have a good pullback happening. Okay. That doesn't mean like one candlestick. That means like it's gone down pretty far. But in this case, like we pretty much had all buy candlesticks. So there's definitely some zones in here that you could take advantage of. Okay. So if it was to continue like selling or whatever, like there's some zones you can find. So you can drop down in the 30-minute for those type of scenarios. Like potentially you can use this one, right? Or maybe even this one. Okay. Okay, like right here or here, right? Like if it comes down to those areas, then you can go down to the 1 minute, look for your entries, right, for there. But do not use your 30-minute as like your main zone finder, if you will. You stick to the 1 hour, but in this type of scenario, it's cool to drop down to the 30-minute. Hopefully that makes sense. No questions? You guys ready to so somebody asked, hold on, would you recommend trading 3.1 trades? No. No, I would not recommend closing it at 3 to 1 if that's what you're asking. You're going to miss out on a ton of profit and probably be not profitable because you're doing that. Let it hit it target. At least let it hit the target of that first target, which is going to get you on average probably somewhere between 8 to, I don't know. Like for it's hard to say because in this example this is a 30 to 1, so like that average can really fluctuate. But I would say you're consistently going to find like 8 to 1 trades at the minimum, and you're going to have a lot of them that are much higher than that as well. If you maintain following this as I've shown you. All right. Well,
Man,
okay.
good job, bro. I'm gonna test this out, and especially with those per value gaps, because I've seen a lot of them in there. I was like, because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, like, man, if this simplifies it, like people, if they missed the entry, they could have been busy or
Yeah.
whatever, forget to set the alert, and I'm just gonna test it to see, and I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, that could be another re-entry point. Was like, hey, man, you missed it. You just go back and wait for it to come back to that zone.
Yeah.
I get you. You're not trying to confuse people,
Yeah.
man, but I
Yeah.
think this is pretty dope.
Yeah. 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 No, they're definitely in there. I've tested them out myself. They're definitely there. So that the fair value gap concept works with this as well. I don't use them as much as the order blocks, but they're definitely in there. Um, Christina says, "Thanks so much, Chris. I'm gonna start testing this out. Awesome. You have the rules in written form. I will. I'm sort of working on that. It'll be a couple of days to kind of outline everything. I'll probably create like a short little ebook or whatever, not like a ebook that I'm selling or anything. It's just gonna be like real basic. These are the rules. This is what you're looking for, so you guys can see that. Again, this will not be the last session of I'm doing this. I'm also going to show, like every couple days or whatever. I'm going to show do like a real quick video of like here was an opportunity. This is why it's there. Like kind of like breakdowns or whatever. Christina, when can we access the replay? Whenever Zoom is done, doing what it does in the background. I'll send you guys the link. Um, He's saving a session, I'm sure, and I'll be coming back with video. We can have a session every weekend. I know we are pretty bulls weekend. Yeah, I mean, I'll probably do some pretty often sessions of this. So the one thing I wanted to ask you guys, we have a Discord, but it's been mostly just for trade alerts and stuff like that. But I see some benefit to potentially opening it up for something like this. And what I mean by that is allowing me and you guys to sort of share your zones, share your trade ideas, share what you're doing with this strategy. Would you guys want that? Give me a 1 if yes, 2 if no. Mexican class. Okay, pretty much everybody says yes. Okay. So, okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share the invite link in here, and I'll share it in their Facebook group as well for those that may not have a Discord account. Any chance you'll do a live session? Yeah. I want. Yeah, I'll start doing live sessions. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that. Uh, okay. Doesn't seem to be any more questions. Let me know and I want you guys to be honest. I just want to get you guys feedback from a 1 to 10. How did you feel about this strategy? 1 being it's the worst strategy ever seen. 10 being I feel like I'm gonna be a millionaire in 2 years or something. um, just give me your like honest feedback, like how you feel about it, whether that's confidence based, whatever it may be, right? And so, and the thing about this, guys, you're going to have to put in some time back testing before you start taking trades. I hope you guys know that, especially on a live account. I know some of you just going to go straight live. I know you guys. So some of you, the guys, are not going to waste any time with this probably. I got it in here. I just wanted to get the answers before I got lost in there. But yeah, I just want to get that feedback just to kind of see how you guys felt about it. Because I need to be patient is not my strong point. 8, 7, 7, 10, 7, 10, 6.3. Very specific. You meet 10. Okay, 6. Awesome. Straight to my life. Yeah. I mean, I would recommend back testing it, doing the replay function if you have it, right? If you have the upgraded version of Trading View, use it to your advantage. Unfortunately, because you drop all the way down to the 1 minute, you can only really go back like 2 weeks on the replay, unless you pay for even more data on Trading View, which I doubt many of you are doing, but yeah. Okay. Discord link I'll drop now. Oh, that was directly to Aaron. Oh, let me respond to Aaron's question. So, Aaron, in regards to what you had mentioned, I would recommend you doing that at some point, but not at that moment. Not at this moment, at least. You could potentially even do it in the Discord. Right. If you have something that you see when it comes to this, share that right to the community. Some of them may take it, some of them may not. But yeah, so I don't want to add anything right now because I don't want to add any more confusion or like intricacies or anything right now. Kind of. So yeah, that's the Discord link. I'll be creating some more channels right there. Right now, it's just a general chat for the precision edge strategy. I create some channels like for gold and US 30 because I know some of you only trade that. And then some for like forex pairs and stuff like that. So it's kind of separated. So you can focus on what you want to focus on. You can mute the channels that you don't need. Yeah. We'll still use the Facebook group as well because not everybody wants to be in the Discord probably. And the other thing too, this is free for anybody. Not charging for this. So if you got people that have been trading and you like the strategy and you want to share it with them, add them to the group, add them to the Discord. It's totally fine. I'm doing this for the love of the game, as they say. I like the charting idea 7-8. Okay, gotcha. All right. If that's all we got, if there's no other further questions, then I'll leave you guys to it. It's getting late. Now some of you that are Eastern time stayed up pretty late for this, so I thank you for being here. Um, I'm in mountain time. The reason why I did it at this time is because my daughter has bedtime, and if it's not before that, I won't be able to focus. I mean, if it's before that, I won't be able to focus. So I wanted to make sure she was good and sleep before I did this. But yeah, someone is drawing on a chart. They're trying to show me something. 1-7, pretty much guaranteed. Yes, like for real, like you're pretty, yeah. 1-7, 1-8 is pretty much guaranteed when you get a win, right? You're going to take losses. I want to reiterate that you will take losses. You will take a couple in a row sometimes. Sometimes you get the first one and it just flies, right? That happens too. But I want you guys to be prepared with the idea of taking a few losses in a row. Oh, one more other thing that I do is I trade off of the same balance the whole day, right? So say I'm working with $1,000 and I take a couple losses in a row, I'm still going to trade as if it's 1,000. I'm not going to trade it if it's like 990 or 980 or whatever. I'm still going to trade it as if it's 1,000 for that day, right? Because I want my wins to cover my losses, right? And so that way, because I'm not taking 100 trades in a day, that'd be crazy. So I'm not going to blow my account that way. And I'm not going to lose 100 trades in a row. If I lose 100 trades in a row, then I want someone to follow me to get a lottery ticket, and you just take the opposite of what I just did. So, but somebody meant to draw these lines on here? If not, we'll go ahead and end it. I know we're getting late. But I appreciate you all for being here. I really do. Hopefully y'all got some value out of today's class. If you have questions later on, you can ask them in the Discord, in the Facebook, whichever you're more comfortable with. And I'm gonna leave you guys to it. That's all I got, guys.